Welcome back, Totem Pole Nation. We're live here in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's the Bald Coach K here, and I am super excited today. I have a former player of mine, superstar at Lakewood. Now he is coaching at Lakewood. This is my main man. He's a D-line coach over there at Lakewood High. This is Coach Chris Granger. What's going on, my man? How you doing today?
Doing awesome, man. It's a great opportunity to be here, man. Really excited to be here. I looked up to you when I was at Lakewood. It's honestly an honor right now.
Well, I tell you what, when I knew you was coaching the defensive line, I kind of started there on the offensive line. I really enjoyed it. Me and Coach Pollock, we were just a good combination. He would be upstairs in the booth, kind of telling me, who to get after, and I was down on the field, so I was always watching the guys closest to me. So he would kind of watch the backside for me, and we could just make a good lethal combo. But yeah, what's going on right now at Lakewood, man? I know it's the off season, and we're big believers in that champions are made in the off season. So what's going on for you guys, Coach? Give us a rundown.
Well, right now they're pretty much just working on each other as men. They're just trying to be better students, better athletes. We have almost the entire team is working on a second sport right now. It's not like when I was there. We only have like 6 guys on the wrestling team. We have like right now we have the guys check in, and there's like 15 guys wrestling, and there's no telling who else. You got guys running track and field, and you got guys playing baseball as well. And outside of that,
any guys doing basketball as well? Basketball over.
Matter of fact,
season, I believe.
We have a couple guys who are doing basketball, but they kind of the couple of guys that I know of, they had already transitioned to basketball towards the later of the season, and I'm not sure if Chambo is doing basketball right now. The guy, defensive lineman, committed to Ole Miss.
Yeah. Totem Pole Nation. This we're having an amazing opportunity right here. This guy had arguably one of the best defensive lines in all of the state and maybe all of the nation. That defensive line was loaded. I believe you had 4 guys go Division I. Is that correct, Coach?
I want to say so. Yeah.
Okay. I believe we had Wheeler. We had Tavon Wheeler. He's going to, I believe, Long Island University. Is that correct?
I'm not really sure with where all the guys. I just know that at one point almost the whole team was committed somewhere. So
yeah, man, it's a loaded team. I know we got Wheeler there. You had Isaiah Nixon, who also I believe. Did he end up going to Florida, or no? He ended up decommitting from Florida and going to Central Florida, right?
Yeah, I knew something was up with that guy. I would always, how guys like to throw hints with their gloves. He never wore Florida gloves.
Right. Yeah, man. And Campbell, man, tell us about Chamberlain Campbell. Now, from what I've heard, man, this is a guy that never really played football, was a basketball player at 6'7", 6'8", 230, 220. And just for him to transition over and make a huge impact, man, I know you had a lot to do with that. Can you tell me about that a little bit?
Well, Chambo, he came in. They were telling me they were praising his size when I first got there. It was just like, yeah, we got another guy coming, big guy. His little brother's out there right now. You could be on a watch for him too.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had already attached to his little brother a little bit because I tried to get out there on the O line, but Coach Moore, he was like, "We need you. I want you over there on the D line." So the head guy says what it is, and I'm gonna go with it. But with Chambo, he's an extremely coachable guy. Listens to everything you say, takes everything to heart, plays with a passion. He's honestly a coach's dream. I remember we were going over drills in the gym. And I kept notice they were getting a little up. They were getting a upper leg on him, and I just had to whisper to him. I'm like, man, get in their chest. And I swear I haven't seen him lose many reps after that. Like he would I
Yeah.
would just whisper a little thing, tweak, just because I like to find a guy and tell him what to do towards their assets. Like he's a tall, lanky guy, and he's strong and he's accelerates. He's a great athlete. So I wanted to tell him something that would fit him. And once he did that, he pretty much knocked the dude flat on his ass, man. And
Wow. Yeah,
so
man. I
yeah,
mean, that's the thing. You can't let them big boys get inside on you when you got that size and you got that reach, man, at that
yeah.
defensive end spot. For sure. Tell me a little bit about Jaden Ledbetter, man. He was another stud that you had.
Ledbetter was actually offensive lineman. I
Oh,
love,
he's offensive line. Okay.
but Ledbetter had my mentality. Ledbetter all bully. All you're not gonna get over on me. I'm gonna do you dirty. I'm a pancake you, and it's my way. Like Ledbetter, even though he was on the other side of the ball, I couldn't do nothing but love that guy. And it's crazy
Yeah.
because he played with a couple bad knees as well too. So and it just, if he would have came to if we would have had more space on the offensive line to have him play more
Yeah.
defense line, it would have just been, the defensive line would have been even more crazy, especially with him and Wheeler. Wheeler was just out of this world.
Yeah, man, without a doubt. I look forward to watching those guys their careers blossom as well. There was another guy too I wanted to holler about. It was Richard Hartwell, man. I follow him on Twitter, and you guys should give him a follow too. The guy, he's also one of those
Yeah,
dual threat athletes. He's doing some wrestling, and
yeah.
it was funny because I hit him up, man, and I asked him, who had the high school record for fastest pin. He said he did, and I don't know about that, man.
Nope,
I
we
kind of
talked
know a
about
guy.
it. We talked about it. We talked about it. We were
Yeah.
at the Pinellas Park game. I was like, "Nah, bro, that's my record." They just never they didn't want to put it in the books.
Man, I was there for that. I saw it
Yeah,
firsthand. It was pretty much it was something from to me it reminded me of some vintage 97 Bill Goldberg, just kind of you guys dapped up to start. The guy blew the whistle and it was pretty much a spear and a pin just like that. And
yeah.
that was your first year, is that correct?
Yeah, that was honest. Yeah, it was about the first year I took to wrestling. It
Oh man.
was going through some things with the team, and I was like, I always wanted to wrestle since my freshman year, and I was just like, now is the time. Like, and I just went for it. I dove right into it, and it was probably one of my most favorite experiences from high school. Just wrestling and having the different type of atmosphere from what wrestling brings.
Yeah, man, without a doubt, man. And we're gonna get into wrestling for sure because there's some guys I want to ask about and things like that. Heck, maybe even get an impression from one of the guys. But what I like to do now, man, is if we could just kind of scroll back a little bit, kind of go back in memory lane. And guys, if you're tuning in, man, this guy was one of my players at Lakewood, and at one time he was a linebacker. And I was an OL coach, man. And, as a good OL coach, you kind of always keep your eye on them linebackers. You know what I mean? You always want to kind of get that mentality on the OL. And, for whatever reason, we were just loaded and the man won't getting enough ticks. So we kind of made that transition and had him come over, and it was such a blessing to the OL. But I want to scroll back to like your childhood memories. When you first started playing, were you able to play little league ball? And were you one of the little Spartans, or were you at Gibbs?
Yeah,
If you could, man, tell
no,
us about that, man,
I'm
and like your first coaches and stuff.
Well, I'm a Spartan through and through. I don't know any
Okay.
other color besides black and gold. I played for Lakewood Little League. I played a couple years.
Yeah.
I don't come from the most decorated or financially blessed background, but the couple years I did get to play. My first year I played for Coach Benjamin, rest in peace. But he never let me leave the field. I played offensive line, defensive line. I played every special team. I never left the field my first year, and I was always known as a pretty big hitter too. Like I would like actually my first memory of flag football. My uncle was there at a game and I got blocked. and I flew back in front of my uncle. And I had a moment there. I was
Oh.
like, I'm never gonna let that happen again. So the next time I seen that happen, I speared the guy and I sent him to the hospital. So
Oh
so
man,
I had
wow.
yeah, I had some type of reputation after that. And then later come on, my mom tells me, my mom was in the stand and she was just like, yeah, somebody was real mad at that. They was like, he's too big to even be playing. And I was playing with guys who are already a year older than me anyway. So I don't know what they were talking about. But I was always known as like a really hard hitter.
Oh yeah. Any of the Lakewood guys that played on that 2012, 2013 squad that was with you back then?
Jacque Ellison, Jock was the
Oh
quarterback.
yeah, Jock. Yeah,
I
Jock
every
was
year I've
such a
ever played
dynamic guy,
football,
man.
yeah, I've always blocked for Jock.
Oh man, that's an easy guy to block
Yeah,
for, man. Because
yeah,
once he
Mr.
gets
Jump
past,
Ball for the cheese.
once he gets even, he's leaving. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what age was that at, Coach?
5 years old, 8 years old, and 10 years
Wow.
old.
Oh man, that is cool. That is good stuff. And then then after that, what do you kind of transition to? So when you're in middle school, you're still at Lakewood. Does the Lakewood Spartan, the junior team, does that go
No,
up till 10,
actually,
12-year-olds, or how does that work?
here with Little League, yeah, you can play Little League up until you're 14. Sometimes you can even find a guy in
Oh,
the ninth
okay.
grade playing for Little League. But me, yeah, but I wasn't able to play here.
Okay.
Financial reasons, but I was living in Gainesville at the time, and it was actually a couple
Okay.
times a guy seen me in public swaying on the scale, and they always tried to recruit me, but I didn't have anything to support me going out to the football field. So when ninth grade came around and I knew I was going to high school, I just made it a mission. Like I was just on my mom constantly, like, hey, every day till one day, she finally brought me out to the field, and I shook hands with Coach Moore. And the first he looks at me, he was like, "Yeah, probably a linebacker." But I naturally
Without a
gravitated
doubt.
towards the line. I don't know what happened. I seen the line. I just stuck there, and then I guess I wasn't trash, so they didn't really throw me away.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. With the Marine Corps, man, one of their values and one of their mottos, man, is attitude is everything, man. And you were just always the guy that brought it. Your enthusiasm was just, it was fiery, man. And as a guy that, got to look over and have you there, man, you were never a guy I had to go over to and be like, can you wake up? Can you wake up, Granger? No, you were
Yeah.
always the guy I had to say, look, man, dial it down a little bit. Just dial it back just a little bit.
I remember
Calm
that with the
down. We
Dunedin
still
game.
got we still got 3.5 more quarters. This is only the first drive.
I
Yeah,
wanted all
man.
the pancakes. Everybody had to get in the dirt.
Yeah, oh man, that was such an awesome thing. So yeah, man, kind of go through if you could, like, when you went from, junior varsity and then, varsity, or were you always on varsity since a freshman? How did that transition go?
Um, I played varsity games as a freshman going out there. Like I was one of the lucky younger guys because we had the JV season started a little late. So Coach Moore chose a few guys to go move up for varsity. And I was one of those guys. And then when the season was over, it's always that coveted list. How many JV guys get to move up and play on the varsity level, and I was one of those guys. So. Um, yeah, I didn't get much PT my freshman year on varsity, but I started JV. Funny thing is, I started off on the D line on
Okay.
JV, but one day one of the guys go down and Coach Moore is just like, "Yeah, you're playing right tackle." I'm just like, "All right, let's go."
Yeah.
So
Oh
I
man.
so that yeah, I
Good.
was so I just stuck there, and I was offensive lineman, and then each year I go out, I try to get on the defense, but somehow I always manage to get back on the offensive line.
Yeah, man. Without a doubt. I believe earlier years, were you there? It had to be kind of when Dante was headed out, right? Were you a freshman when he's a senior? Dante Fowler, guys. He's a
Dante was
Dallas
actually
Cowboy.
yeah.
Yeah,
Dante
Dallas
was actually
Cowboy, former Jaguar, former Falcon, just
former
a
Ram.
amazing
Yeah,
player here. Yeah, Rams. Yeah, yeah, Florida Gator.
yeah.
Yeah, tell us about Dante, man.
Dante was man child. We call that's what the first nickname I've ever heard from this guy. He's the same size he is now. He was in high school. You look up to
Wow.
and he was a senior when I was a sophomore. So when I was going in as a freshman, he was a junior, and everybody was talking about Miss Dante Fowler, 5-star recruit. When you get the
Yeah,
mail
man.
for all your letters, Dante would have a stack this big from
He had to
everybody.
get his own mailbox.
Yeah, but basically, man, the thing was huge, and then you get a couple guys here with like 2 or 3 letters. But it's funny because Coach Moore, he come out this big old stack of letters, he hand out to everybody else, and then it's like, here you go, Dante.
Oh
But
man,
yeah, but he
without a
was
doubt,
always
man.
an amazing athlete. He was just amazing athlete. He was 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", 240, running a 4.6 in high school. Like he was like, yeah, and I was just like, man, I don't know what I got to do to get with something like that, but I'll try. I had to block
Right.
him one time as a freshman, and I'm not going to admit this too many times, but I was actually intimidated, and I couldn't really do much with him. But that was when after I got older, and I realized a lot of that stuff is up here. I probably could have got him because I had a coach get on me about that, and I was just like, man, what you want me to do, man? He's bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah, yeah. You got to balance it out sometimes, man. That's when you just got to get nasty. You know what I mean? And I definitely know you got that nastiness in you, that nasty streak and everything. But yeah, it was. Let me ask you this: was Speedy Reedy there as well, or was he okay?
No,
He had already gone. Yeah,
yeah, he was
Bernard
in.
Reedy. He was one of the players of the year here. Probably I would say probably around like 2008 or maybe 2010. So yeah, you guys probably had just missed him. Well, let me ask you this, Chris, man. Everybody I know always, when we talk about Lakewood, they always want to hear about, the class right before you. You had the
Yeah.
twins, Shaquille and Shaquem, man. If you could talk about those guys and let people that don't know their story, any of that stuff, just to let them know the kind of story and the kind of guys they were, man.
Unbelievable. They were like really, really, really down to earth guys, man. If you want to get down to it, you can never take anything away from those guys. They literally worked for everything they had. Nothing was handed to them by anything. They grinded. They were the definition of the grind. Like you look at those guys, you see what's going on, and they already stood out to amongst a bunch of athletes already. They're putting in that extra work after school. They were the twins. They were honor students. Like they were literally the epitome of a student athlete. That's what anybody who ever plays football, any guy who wants to coach. That's who you want to look for with both of them. And that's you can't ask for anything better with what you get out of them. They brought intensity, 100% effort. Just yeah, amazing. And it's honestly an honor to, even when I see them to this day, they dap me up, and it's all love, and it tickles me because I didn't make it as far as those guys. So I'm just like, man, they like celebrities right now, and I'm just just average Joe. So it makes me feel awesome just to have been around that.
They really are. Did you ever get to meet their mom and dad by any chance?
No, but crazy thing is,
Okay.
I work with their uncle.
Okay, cool, man. Cool. You give him a shout out. Who is it?
Shout out to like Dell Golden the third. Shout out Tome. Shout out Fat
Oh
Dell.
yeah.
Goes by a lot of names. His
Gotcha.
son
Gotcha. A
actually played
lot, a
with
lot
us
of
too. His
L's.
son is actually Liddell Jr.
Yeah, man. I remember there was a game where he made a fumble, and man, everybody got on him about that fumble. I mean, everybody. And I think I was one of the only guys that went over there and said, "Look, man, you gonna make a play later on." And man, he made that play later on. And I remember him coming up to me like, "Coach, he's the only one that said anything positive." Hey, man, that's how it was, man. When
Yeah,
you're a competitive team and you're a fiery team, you need to hold each other accountable. You know what I mean? And that was just one instance where I just kind of pulled the guy aside because, as you know, as a coach, man, some guys they don't do what's needed until you really get after them. And
Yeah.
then some guys, if you light a fire under them, they fold up like a lawn chair and they're
Yeah.
worthless for the rest of the game.
Different strokes for different folks. That's
That's it,
crazy.
man.
I had that same exact moment you had with I had it with Isaiah Nixon when we were playing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was an important. I want to say it was against Tampa Catholic. He wasn't having the best start out to the game, but other guys they're trying to light a fire under him. But you can just being around him, he was a really laid back guy. So I would every chance I tell him, I was like, man, don't sweat it. You're gonna show up when we need you the most. Just stay at it.
Yeah.
Just stay at it. And by the end of the game, man, he iced the game with a couple sacks that propelled us on. And then the next day he comes to me, he was like, thank you, coach. You were like one of the only guys who believed in me. But in my mind, I was like, man, that's kind of what I'm here for. I mean, when you see something like that, somebody has to be somebody has to be able to talk to these guys. And with me being closer in age, then that's just so it comes easier for me. And funny thing with Isaiah Nixon, his brothers play with me. The twins, Andrew and Adrian Davis. That's their little brother.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, total.
Man.
Yeah.
Hey, one of them's helping you coach over there, right? Is he coaching
receivers? Yeah, Drew. He's the wide receiver coach.
Oh man, good stuff, man. Good stuff. And he had a career there at Toledo, right? University of Toledo.
He went to Toledo. He transferred out, but he made a little noise. He made some noise.
Toledo has a nice pipeline to Lakewood, and if you're any college football team out there, you need to have a pipeline to Lakewood. Coach Moore, definitely. He just has this blueprint. These guys, to me, I call it, I gave it my own nickname, man. It's Grind University. When you get over there, you're going to learn the grind. You're going to grind harder than you ever have before in your life, but you're going to have brothers grind with you. And there's no better feeling than, blood, sweat, and tears with a brotherhood. You know what I mean? Like you, Chris, you've got guys like Isaiah Wynn that, you guys are just brothers for life, And speaking of him, man, so let's talk about him, man. Tell me about, tell me some good stories about him and what it was like, playing beside him, playing with him,
It's funny. Me and Wynn go back to actually we go back to middle school. I was in the same when I moved back because I didn't live in St. Pete my middle school years. I had to move away, and then we came back. But end of the 8th grade, that's when I had met Wynn. He had a science class together. So then when I come out to the football field, I already know a guy. So I'm like, all right. And the funny thing with me and Wynn was we were sitting down in the library one day, and we were like, we found out that you only needed a 2.5 to get a scholarship. So we were like, what? That's all you need. This school thing's gonna be a breeze. So then that's when you get the more mentality where you can go harder with the football field. Yeah. Wynn's
you were always
cool.
A great student, man. Both you guys were always really good students. What was your final GPA leaving?
I had a 2.8. To be honest, yeah, I didn't really take school as serious. That's one of the things I tell these guys now. I was, and the crazy thing is, I was an honor student all the way up until high school. But then I had a lot of things going on at home. Like I wasn't a lot of support going on there. I had a stepdad who wasn't really the best role model, and it was a lot of stress on me. So I had developed a mentality where like I'm just gonna do enough to get by, and I didn't really have much plans after high school. With my father passed away when I was like 6 weeks old, and I had this weird thing in my head going on for a long time because he died when he was 21. So in my mind, I was like, if I live to see 21, then I've done enough. But after I got through that phase, and then I had to regroup and understand that you still got to push.
Yeah, man. As a guy that was coaching you guys, man, I never knew exactly what it was, that you had going on, but I knew you had something going on. I always kind of had to, I kind of felt like I had I had my hand on y'all's pulse, man. I kind of, and that's
Yeah.
why I was on you guys, like I was. And that's why I was very grateful to have you join wrestling because, had you not been doing that, we would, I wouldn't have known, where you were and stuff like that, man. But, some of us are kind of driven by our demons, so to say, how important is it to, channel some of that negative stuff, into a positive way like you're doing? Because, you can't, as a football program, when you can have a guy come through there and play and develop that and then come back to coach, it's like a mini part of you, as a coach. When you have your players come back and play for you, it's like having a mini me around there, man. It's got to be an amazing thing. But tell me about that, man. Tell me about how you've been able to, channel your hardship, and help other guys that might be going through, similar difficult situations. We've had the Cyborg on here a couple times, man. He's one of the rock stars that we got here at Totem Pole Nation. And, his stories, man, he's just got some very scary stories, times where
Yeah.
he's in the bed sleeping and, he had a rat bite him a couple times, you know what I mean? Or he had holes in the house and literally if it's raining outside, it was raining in his house, man. Tell us how you're able to, fight through that stuff and give back and help these guys right now and be a good role model for them.
It's all about me wanting to make a difference. I never want to. I never want anybody to feel the way I did. I mean, but even though me using that, I mean, a lot of that is a lot of my driving. That's a lot of the stuff is that's like if I'm feeling down, a lot of that stuff is what pushes me ahead. Like me knowing I didn't have a father around or a father figure who was my. I looked to my coaches. And that's one of the things that I like to do as a coach. Like I'll never forget me just sitting talking with you and you in the car one time and you telling me that you wake up at 4 a.m. and you just grinding out and you get through the whole day. That was for a while. That was just that's something I took in the back of my head and I was like, you know what, that's what men do. So I kind of follow that blueprint now. I wake up 5 o'clock. I'm at work by 7. I get off at 5:30, and I still manage to go to the help the guys at the football field until 8 o'clock, and I'll do that through the whole season.
Oh man,
But
that's so good, man. So awesome they got you there, man. Without a doubt, I could not be more proud, man. It hurt when I had to leave there just because a lot of it was just due to I physically was just out of it. I wasn't, my body wasn't right. So I had to really focus on myself. And, I felt like I hated it because I felt like, there was a hole that was there because I wasn't there, man. But now, that you're there, man, I know they're getting every bit of, there's a lot of Coach K in Coach Granger. I know it, man, because me and you have always been, just fiery dudes, man.
That's what they love about me. That's what they love about me.
Man. Yeah,
I remember
doubt,
I went to when I first got around there because initially it's actually a crazy story. After I tore my ACL, I went through a couple things with the football team. Like I didn't I just remember one time I didn't have a seat on the bus after I was hurt, and I still been sticking around, and that's honestly where I first started coaching. I remember talking up guys like Tony and Tyreek, and I'm just I'm giving them pointers, and then watching what them actually do what I say, and I'm like, whoa. And that's honestly where my first inspiration came from. But I ended up having like a breakdown, and I ended up going and checking myself into a mental hospital. But I ended up meeting the guy I was saying, Jock's stepfather. I never knew this guy was watching me my entire life. So then I'm telling him my story, and he was just like, you know what? go talk to Coach Moore, because at this point I had been removed from the game for like from Lakewood for about 8 years, and I had
Yeah.
unnecessary resentment in my heart. So I went and talked to Coach Moore, and he didn't even know a lot of things that I had going on. So we buried that hatchet, and I just never left. I just still been there. So
Yeah, that's the thing, man. With my high school career, it didn't end the way I wanted to, man. So there was still so much left in the tank, I felt like, you know what I mean? And I was just blessed to be able to go to Lakewood and, you know, meet all of you guys and everything. And the transition was it was fun for me, man. And I you know, I took it as a personal challenge because, you know, not everybody want a whole lot of guys looking like me or talking like me, you know what I mean? But I know at the end of the season, man, I made a huge impact.
definitely.
Our offensive line went from you know, very solid to very nasty. You know, we were mowing teams down towards the middle to late in the season, and you know, we had a heck of a run there deep into the playoffs. You know, both your junior and your senior year, and it was such a good time. Let me get back to a couple more of the guys, and then I want to get into you know, the transition to OL. But you know, since we mentioned Wind, we mentioned the Twins. Let's talk about the Super Bowl champion, man. What do you want to tell us about Marquez Valdez-Scantling?
Valdez is honestly the definition of bet on yourself. Like like
Grinder,
like
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we going in. He's a grade above me, but he was still on JV 10th grade year. And so, you know, a lot of for to be honest, like in the locker room, you know, you got guys that you rag on. He was one of the guys who got ragged on. Like, okay, like yeah, like you like how are you still on JV 10th grade year? But and I don't really think I think when he talks about getting cut from high school, I think that's one of those moments when you know how everybody guys got to move up, like I got to move up. He didn't get to move up. But come
Yeah,
around
yeah.
come around his junior senior year, he was working on Saturdays with the Twins. He was putting the work in, and he never stopped putting that work in. And then you could just see the development of him just getting better and better and better and better. And then you see him now, he's in the freaking Super Bowl. Like you can't, like, that's one of the definitions. Just put in the work and grind and you will get there. Just never stop believing in yourself.
Man, I know Coach Williams was one of his mentors, and man, that guy was he was just a magician when it came to that wide receiver position. He just knew how to talk to guys. It was something special to witness, man, because all of those guys just loved him. Off seasons, he would have guys from all over St. Pete all meet, and they would just be competing and just representing the city. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's just such a beautiful thing, man. Just such a beautiful thing. You know, another guy I want to talk about too, man, that was a rock star back then. Rodney Adams, man. Tell me about that guy, man. And that guy went through some serious stuff during the season, man. I believe you know, he had somebody very close to him pass. He
Yeah.
had some issues where he had an irregular heartbeat at an event, and you know, he had to miss a few things. But tell us about Rodney Adams, man. Hot Rod.
Rodney is just an all-world talent. I remember him transferring in. I didn't know much of because honestly, at the same time, me being from South, my mom kept me in the house. I didn't go out much. I
Good.
was I was a
Probably
fat kid who,
good.
yeah, I was a fat
Well,
kid who just watched TV all day. But when I get to the weight room, you know, they're talking about, okay, Rodney Adams here, and then you see him play and just like wow. Wow, awesome
electric,
routes,
man.
wonderful speed. He just one of those all world talents, and Rodney was just unbelievable to watch. So and then when you pair him up with when Valdez is in his prime, like I believe that was one of the best wide receiver cores that we've had. And
Yeah,
I'll never
Tracy
forget,
had
I was in French class, and I had French with him, and he was going to Toledo, and he tells me, he was like, man, you should walk on. And I'm like, what? Me? So that was the Rodney's always been cool with me.
Yeah, man, I believe he could have gone anywhere. I know the Florida Gators were all over him, and then their receiver coach either got fired or got another job. And like I said, man, that pipeline is really thick, from Toledo, and he went up there and then ended up transferring down back to USF. Man, I so wish that USF would have just built a fence around Tampa and St. Pete, man. What a loaded team they would have had. If you look at all the stars and studs that
Yeah.
came from that area, Robinson was so loaded. Jesuit, that Jesuit game was the one where Valdez and Tracy Johnson just unleashed fury on those guys. And that was the first time that Lakewood ever went to Jesuit and knocked those guys off. And I'll never forget us getting off of the bus and going around, and they had the surround sound speakers. They were playing some dope tunes. Oh, man, that was a wrong thing to do with us, man, because we had that swag. And then we saw their weight room. Our weight room was literally prison workouts. And then we go see theirs. They look like freaking Penn State. Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
They
we had
like
those
Penn
moments
State.
this year. We had that moment going to Berkeley Prep, man. We were looking at these guys' state of the art flat screens in their weight room. They have 2 turf fields. Like what? And then I guess they must have learned from that outline, because they did. We had our own music playing. They bring their own cart with them, and they were overshadowing our music with what they had playing. So I guess they were trying to calm us down from the jump.
Yeah, man. Good idea. They don't want to hype us up, man. No doubt. One last guy from that squad I want to talk about, and that is the cyborg, man, A.D. Paulmore. I'm not sure if you're following him, man, but he's 5-0 right now.
Oh man, yeah, he just knocked somebody out the other day, man.
He did, man.
I'm proud of that guy. Like, I actually ran into him outside of high school when I was going through my troubles, just trying to figure out myself, me being a knucklehead. I run into him to like in the hood, and I was like straight in the hood, and I'm like, what? I see AD, and we just chop it up and catch it up, like, and honestly, I didn't know he was a guy going through like a lot of the same things I went through. Like me and him both shared this. The experience of having to get into a physical altercation with our stepfather in school. Like I didn't know too many guys had to go through that type of stuff. So we had a bonding moment right there. And he actually tried to tell me to go out to USF when he was going there, because that was during that transition. He was trying to recruit me out there as well. So but then I was going through whatever I was going through. But AD,
yeah, man,
he was always a good talent too. Like it was like not too many guys you feel comfortable blocking next to you who know how to catch the ball. But AD, I felt good if I had to do a double team with AD. Like, okay, yeah, this guy right here don't even know what was about to come to him.
Man, without a doubt, man. Like he's transitioned over to mixed martial arts. And, I just remember him, he could keep up with all those guys that we just listed, all those guys. And those were track guys. Those guys won the state title in track in I believe, 2012 or 2013. Yeah. All those guys won states in track. And then, as far as his physicality, man, he was like a Gronkowski, man. The dude could put guys in the dirt, And speaking of that, man, I want to talk about, there was a tradition that I kind of brought, when I'm from Virginia, and so at Virginia Tech, that was kind of the squad I always loved and rolled with. They just seemed like a bunch of blue collar guys. And they were guys that originally had the lunch pail mentality. They would give it to their defensive linemen. But, me being there at Lakewood, and, I talked to Coach Moore and Coach Pollock, and I just asked them about that. And those guys, man, they just gave me the green light, and they said, you know what, Coach K, these guys are just as much yours as they are mine, man. If you think you can inspire them or get them fired up, man, go for it. And, I believe you were the first guy that
Yes, I was the
received
first recipient of
that
the lunch pail.
original. Yeah, man. Tell me about that, and then I'll dive into it, man, because that was a very exciting time for myself as well. But yeah, man, go ahead and dial into that if you could.
Yeah. Coach Moore gets us all together. Everybody has to sit down. It's like, okay, Coach K, Coach K wants to talk to you guys, and you bust out, hey, I got this lunch pill, and this is for the hardest working guy out here. And then you gave it to me, and I felt so accomplished at that moment. And I was just like, what? What? Because you gotta under where I'm coming from. I'm the small guy on the line. At the time I'm like 5'9", 5'8", 210. Then you got Isaiah, freaking 6'3", 280. Logan, rest in peace, 6'4", 300. Book, 5'10", 280. Pink, 270,
Yeah, 280.
6'3".
Yeah.
Big
And then
Easy.
you had Big
Easy,
Easy.
Matumbo. They're all, and I'm like, I get it. And I know I held on to it about 3 weeks, and then Win did whatever Win what it does, and he took it from me. But
Yeah, man. I
that pill meant
remember.
a lot. I got a lot of notoriety around school for that too. It was like, what are you carrying that for? I'm like, what? This is for the hardest worker on the team. What do you mean? Like, this is great. Yeah,
And what
I know
was inside? There was something inside too, right?
those lineman gloves. Yeah. I needed those. I
Hey, those
I
things
didn't.
was. I believe they were all white too, right?
Yeah. But by the time I
Man,
got
it
done,
looked so fire.
they were
Blood.
brown and broken.
Yeah, man. That was just a way for me to kind of reward you guys for like the whole off season and working out. And man, the reason you were chosen, man, was when we first transitioned you over, there was a play in that game where you literally locked onto the guy and drove him almost out of the whole screen. And I mean, you literally drove the guy 15, 17 yards and then dumped him right on his back. And I remember when we were watching film, we probably watched that play 6 or 7 times, because it was important. It was important, and it showed what we were expecting, up front. And by your measurements, you were definitely not the biggest guy on the offensive line, but when it comes to the heart, I don't know if anybody was as big as you. You know what I mean? And that was an important moment for that football team. We needed you to step up, man, and you hopped up into that role, man, and you from that point on, man, you were awesome on the offensive line. You never even asked to go back to linebacker, which you were an amazing linebacker, but we were just freaking loaded, on that defense and everything.
Yeah. I actually did try to it was one of the hardships I have with the team. I did try to when I don't know what happened, but I remember I didn't get as much playing time. I don't know what was going on, but I got taken out of the game. I guess I had to really look back on how hard-headed I was in my own right. I remember I got taken out of the game like towards the end. We were still winning. There's probably a justified reason, but I was just mad that I didn't get to play anymore. And I was just like, man, I'm working this hard, and then you take me out the game. And I had told myself in that game, if I don't get back in the game, I'm not coming back. And that's ended up being what happened. So that's one thing I kind of regret. Just looking back, like I really could have handled that situation a lot different, because I never opened my mouth to anybody really to express how I felt. And that was one of those things I talked about that I had talked with Coach Moore about. He had no idea either. And that's just one thing I like to tell these guys now, just to like to learn, to have them learn how to have a voice and just carry themselves as a man.
Amen, brother. Amen, man. I love that message. And we kind of talked about your transition from linebacker to OL. So then we end up getting into your senior year, and that's when you had the knee injury. Is that correct? I believe it was preseason before you even got to play, right?
The second day of fall practice. I remember that. I remember it like it was yesterday. Everybody doesn't have their paperwork going on. And I was like one of like like 5 guys who actually had their paperwork done, and we're going over a punt drill. And like my knee, my leg gets planted into like a pothole or something, and my knee hyperextends. I hear the pop, and
Mm.
I was like, what? And I sit down, and I'm like, oh, whoa, whoa, and then I
Yeah,
scream.
man.
And then Miss Erica comes over, and then she's like playing with my knee. I'm hearing. I had to come back to hear. She was like, apparently she said she was able to move my knee whatever way she wanted to, and that's just not good at all. Like my knee was shot after that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man. You know, as a coach, man, it was a devastating blow, man, because we had big plans for you, man. You know, I think you was running the Mike linebacker in the
yeah,
defense, and you know, you were that captain because of your attitude and because of your hard work and your determination. You know what I mean? You was basically moving, you know, from OG back to LB, and we had huge expectations. And yeah, for that to happen
yeah. I was
so
trying to get some
early,
fullback in, if you remember that too. I was
yeah, yeah.
I had big plans for my senior year.
Yeah, man, you definitely was that hog back that we need when we break out that formation for sure, man. Yep, yep. But yeah, man. Now, if you could, so you pretty much you missed that whole season, correct? And I believe you kind of were able to. I know you tried to sneak back in several times, but you weren't able to really do anything until wrestling, correct?
Yeah, I stuck around. With
What was
that.
the injury too?
I tore my ACL, but I looked on
You
the
tore your.
paperwork. It was more than my ACL. I tore LCL, PCL, and it was like a sprain on the meniscus. Like my whole knee was like that thing went from here to here, and I heard it, but it
So
was only.
how did you do that in August and then wrestle in November?
I didn't really wrestle. My knee. What I did, I ended up sneaking on the track team for shot put and disc, and I made it to regionals on both on a surgically repaired knee. It's
Oh
half
man.
half my to be honest, half my meets I was not cleared to do them. I wasn't cleared, like actually
Ladies and
medically cleared.
gentlemen, we still have statute of limitation going on right now. That too much time has passed for us to get in trouble now.
Oh no! By
Oh,
that time I was 18. That was my decision. There's nothing. No.
that's it. Yeah, man. He
Yeah, it
signed
was my
off on
choice. It's my choice.
it. So let me ask you this then. So wrestling was your junior year.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Well, look, let's dive into wrestling if we could, because that about that same time, football ended, and you know, Coach Moore was like, "Look, you know, we love what you're doing here, and a wrestling coach, you know, could use a hand,
Yes.
and you know, we'd like for you to kind of recruit a couple of the football players, you know, as well." So yeah, when he did that, you know, I came over, and man, I tried to grab so many guys, man. I was like, Isaiah Wynn, come on, man.
I
Come on.
tried to,
Could
man.
you
They wouldn't
imagine
do it.
that guy? You know, I could imagine him as a heavyweight, man. Imagine if we had AD wrestling. Some other guys, man, Romello Presley. That guy was just jacked. Stephen
Right.
Bridges, Tariq Hopkins, you know, Austin Copeland. That guy,
I
all
prom
those guys could have been amazing. You know what I
I
mean?
promise. I went up to every one of those guys you just said, and I got a response out of AD and Austin. They were like, "Yeah, I'll come," but they never came. They
Yeah.
never. I think if
They
those
weren't
guys
wearing the
came,
gear.
if they would have came, I would have been more motivated to like cut weight or something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Amen. And that was the thing. All I had to tell you was, look, man, we get to wear outfits like the Steiner brothers, and we get to slam people, and you're like, all right, cool, let's do
Yeah.
it.
I have my intimidation thing where I would wear tidy whities to the weigh-ins just to psych people out, and I'd wear pink socks
Yeah,
and a pink
man.
mouthpiece. Nobody wanted no parts of
Yeah.
it.
That's right, man. That's right. You know, that's a thing with that's part of it, man. Part of it is, you know, playing that role, you know, playing the role. And I know you remember when we had Tyreek come in there and he was wearing the
That's my brother.
hoodie and just, man, how scary did that guy look?
Oh my gosh, like man, Tyreek, man, we were looking at him, we was just like, man, like this dude's like 300 freaking pounds. Like, but the thing with Tyreek, what I started grabbing, because Tyreek, he was nice. He was really nice. And in my mind, like me not being the biggest guy, I'm like, man, he needs more bite to him. So I kind of gravitated to him, and I try to rough him up a little bit, get him meaner, and it actually worked. It started to work because I came back one time after high school, and Tyreek was a dog. Like, we got into a wrestling match right then and there on the field, and Coach Moore just let it happen.
Yeah,
So,
man,
Tyreek's like my brother, man. Tyreek, that's my boy.
Good, man. I got his number if you need it. If you don't have it, man, let's me, you, and him get together sometime soon, man, for sure. I would love to chop it up with you guys. I got a couple other guys I want to ask about that team that you played with. Tell me about Austin Tavarius, if you could. You remember Austin?
Of course, I remember Austin. Austin was actually one of the guys who came right to me when I tore my ACL. Like, he was out there. Austin ran right to me and helped me right. He was one of the guys I leaned on. But Austin came out to the wrestling team like this, so they were already talking about this. So this pretty boy, but Austin had so much heart. Like, there was nothing you could never call that guy soft. Like, never. Like, he brought it. Austin. Yeah, I always commended Austin. Austin.
Yeah, man,
brought
you remember that one? You remember that one where I believe it. What's the school up on 54th? The school on 54th up north.
Countryside?
No. You head up 275 and get off of that 54th.
Northeast?
It's right northeast, man. You remember at Northeast when he basically got his nose shattered?
Yes. The man broke his nose and still got back up. Oh my God! That's like I said, you can't take that.
And then he I think he just lost just because he was bleeding all over the place in the last one, But
that's
I want to
the only
give
thing
a special
that
shout out to him, man. He just lost his father, so I want to give a big shout out to him and let him know, man, that
saving lives. He's a paramedic now.
We love you, man. What you've gone through and been through, man. We always got your back. You're another one. You got to get up. Me, you, Tyreek, Coach Granger here, man. Let's chop it up. Let's have a good time, man. But I love you, man. I want you to know that. Yeah, and Chris. So
definitely love Austin.
Another guy that was in that group of wrestlers, man. That at the time, he was just a different cat, man. But tell us about, and I can't remember his last name, and I would love to see him. But Rodney, man, tell us about Rodney.
Oh, Rodney Daniels. Oh,
man, Rodney Daniels, if you're listening, man,
honestly, Rodney's in jail.
I know he got in some serious trouble.
Yeah. But Rodney, he was a real different guy throughout school. And then when you meet him, you just realize he's just cool and laid back. But you out there wrestling with him. Man. He has this death grip and he's smiling in your face. Just
yeah, man.
Rodney was a cool guy, man. But Rodney was a dog out there. I really liked the wrestling squad. We had such a bond. Like, we were like, none of us were like the coolest guys in school, but we all stuck together and we made whatever we could with that wrestling. We made it happen. Those are, like I said, one of the funnest times in my life.
Yeah, man. What about Zeke, man? Tell them about Zeke.
Oh, I got some story with Zeke. Yeah, Zeke comes down here. He was originally from Arizona, so wrestling was really big up there. So when he comes down here, it's a whole different feel. He's like, man, y'all really not into this like that. And then and then I see this guy. He's chewing tobacco. he's like, yeah. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? We don't really do that, right? We in high school. Zeke, he was ultra motivated. I've never seen a guy like when you talk about weight cuts. Zeke walked around at about 170 and would cut to 126. Like, why? What are you doing with yourself, my guy? But
Yeah, man.
I would, but I remember I had to play enforcer for the wrestling team, and he didn't want to conform to what I was trying to build. So I would, that's what I would do if anybody that didn't want to get in line, they had to wrestle me right there, right on spot.
Yep.
And he got with me. He got with me right there in the dirt, and I was just like, you know what? You still gonna listen, though, Zeke? he got me. We went like 3 rounds, but he got me. I was like, you know what? You still gotta listen, though. But he respected me a little bit more after that. But yeah, Zeke.
Man, without a doubt, man. If he was a bigger dude, he would have been scary, man. Just his worth ethics, and that was a great thing too, man. His brothers both wrestled, so anytime
That
those
was his
guys were available, I was
motivation.
like, come in here, and they'd be grabbing you guys and getting after it, man. It was so great. Hey, let me ask you about this guy, man. What about do you remember Malik?
Malik Haywood, yeah. He's
Malik
doing his
making
thing.
beats now.
Yeah, I actually got
Yeah.
one from him. I made a song off one of his beats before.
Oh man,
2
definitely, man.
times
I
by
would love to.
Keyshawn G. If you want to listen to my
I'm gonna
song.
have to. I'm gonna have to plug him, man. I'm gonna have to get him on here and we talk some music sometime, man. Because he was a guy that was, everybody that was on that team, we were all different. You know what I mean? We were
Yeah,
all different, but we
Malik
had a
came
common
from the band
bond.
though. Like that
Yeah,
was his.
yeah, he did.
Malik was already in the band. He was established. Malik. He was just like, you know what? I want to try something different. Like that's all
Yeah,
it was. He
man.
he was living out his dreams, man. He wrestled when he wanted to. He came out and played football. Like I respect that a lot about Malik. And then he did it.
Yeah, man, without a doubt. He was on the football team. He did band. He was, man. He's just a multi-dimensional guy, man. There's a lot of sides to him and everything. So, but yeah, man, good stuff, man. Thank you again, man, for joining me, man. I would love to. We're gonna definitely have to chop this up again sometime, man. If you're cool with it.
Oh, definitely. Anytime.
Good stuff. So look, man, I want to talk about, you mentioned a lot of awesome people, man. I would love to talk like maybe get a story or some influence that some of your coaches had. And the first one I got to start with, man, I got to start with the GOAT, Coach Moore.
Coach Moore, yeah, he's Coach Moore. You look at him and you see this big guy, but when you get to know him, you understand he has a personality and he's a strict guy, and that's like one of the guidelines you can always take from him. And he gives you this really good outline of what you should do and how you should be as a man, and you always follow and I've always tried to follow that. He used to actually my first spring in 9th grade, he used to take me home from practices. And I always remembered that, and I always respect him for that. And Coach Moore, all around good Christian man. And honestly, if it wasn't for him, I literally would not be in the position that I am today.
And that is awesome, man. Yeah, Coach Moore, changing lives, man. That guy, if he ever went for mayor here in St. Petersburg,
Oh
man,
yeah, man, first ballot, man. Everybody.
exactly, first ballot Hall of Famer around here,
Yeah.
man, without a doubt. That is. I totally agree, man. He's just such an amazing mind for the game, and just he doesn't just build good football teams, man. He builds guys to be champions for life, and
Yes.
that's what we're here about, with Totem Pole sports and everything. And another big piece of that puzzle, man. Coach Kimball, man, tell us a good Coach Kimball story, if you could, and people that are watching that have never met him, tell him what he means to the Lakewood football program, if you could.
Coach Kimball is the enforcer. Like Coach Kimball, if something's out of line, he's gonna put it in line. When he came out there, I think I want to say my junior years when he came out there and he had us going through all these drills, and what he basically brings, he unlocks whatever weakness you think you have. you'll forget about it dealing with him. He's there. He makes what he put us through made us all a lot stronger in the long run. I'll never forget. He made me do like 100 push-ups in one day. Like,
Ooh, man.
never forget that. Never forget that.
And that's because he was late, right?
No, what happened? It was on 2 separate occasions, man. I go to get my jersey out of the locker room, and he dropped it on the floor, and I just walked in there and picked it up. Like what are you doing? And he's like, while you're down there, give me 50. I was like, what? Like, bro, you dropped my jersey.
Oh, man.
And then later that day, he was talking to Miss Erica, the trainer, and I had walked up, and I forgot to say ma'am. And I had another 50 to do because of that. It's all in the same day.
Good
so he brings a good sense of discipline to young men, because I didn't have much positive male reinforcement in my life, and I kind of say he brought that.
Amen, man. You know, I remember me and you going to wrestling meets, and me driving and listening to some Crossroads, some Bone Thugs. Yeah. You know, I would play the music that I liked back in the day, and you at least acted like you liked that stuff too, man.
No,
so
I still listen. I love classic hip hop. I listen to that. That's kind of how I am. I like to think I have an old soul. Like I was definitely getting in the right mind frame, listening to what Coach K had to bring.
Amen, man. You know, old school is cool, man. Old school is cool to me. You know, I totally agree, man. I appreciate that. And yeah, man, I guess since I'm on, man, give me a Coach K story, or tell the people, you know, what kind of guy I am, if you could.
I always bring up every story with that one game where I drugged that guy down. If it wasn't for Coach K, I wouldn't have came back to the offensive line. We're down Isaiah, we're down Logan, we're down Mutombo, and then Fat Rob gets hurt in the game. So then I hear Coach K. I've never met him before. He comes right, Granger, you know how to play guard? And that's how I met Coach K. But then after that, you always stuck to me. You never left my side, and that it always gave me a sense of security. It's just knowing that. And a lot of the things that I learned from you is how I still approach the game as a coach to this day. And another thing I can't forget is when you had me beat up the whole JV line, teaching them how to run block. I had to man. You said you needed these guys to know how to do it. You saved me from running that day. So I had to
call that baptism by fire. That's baptism by fire right there. You know, I'm a big believer in that. If you want to teach toughness, man, bring your toughest guy over here to show him what it's all about, man.
Yeah,
you know?
Everybody got a pancake.
Yeah,
I came back to the locker room. They were like, Granger, why you was doing them like that? I was like, what are you talking about? That's how it needs to be done. Like, y'all didn't know.
You was like, Oprah Winfrey, you get a pancake. You get a pancake. You get a pancake.
Yeah, some guys even got 3 because they wanted more. They thought they could. They thought they could take it, and then they still got. They still got the pancakes.
Amen.
I wasn't having it, and it's funny because they were still bigger than me. That's crazy, but they got those pancakes. Oh. And there's always that story. You were taking me to that meet, and you told me, and you were just explaining to me how you go about life and what you do. And I still take those. I still take anything I've ever been slightly taught or any just mentioned to me. I've always taken it in, and that helped me develop who I am to this day, simply because I didn't have the greatest role model in my house to look forward to. So I always yearned to, like, I want to know how do I go about doing this the right way, because I'm actually a big visual guy. I got to see it being done to know how to actually do it. And if it wasn't for you being in my life and you always checking in on me, I'm very grateful for Coach K to have ever approached me, asked me if I know how to play guard.
Man, I love you, Chris, man. I really appreciate that.
Love you too, man. Coach.
I'm a very blessed guy. There was a guy way back in the day named Coach Jacobs, and he was a big influence on my high school football coach. And Coach Jacobs, he coached at the University of West Virginia back in the '80s, and then after that, he coached at the Ohio State Buckeyes. He coached a guy by the name of Orlando Pace, one of the Hall of Fame best offensive linemen ever. And my head coach, Coach Matt Bland. Not my head coach, but my line coach, Matt Bland, was the guy that kind of, showed us his war path. So it's one of these things, when you're winning in life, the thing you want to do, man, is you want to bring other people with you. You want to bring the people that care about you the most and everything. And, because I believe legends never die, man. If the right people get the message, the message keeps being passed and it keeps being passed. And, it's a beautiful thing, and it'll be infinity if the right people get it and believe in it. And I think that's kind of what we caught here. You know what I mean? And, I'm really proud of everything that you got going on. I think you're just scraping the bottom of it, man. There's nowhere else for you to go but up and be successful. And, if there's college coaches and stuff like that are looking for a defensive line coach, what is it that a guy like Coach Granger, what is it that you what is it you bring to the table? And then I'm gonna flip it, man. I want to hear what a player should expect to get from you as a coach, but a coaching staff that gets you. What do they get with a Coach Chris Granger, if you could?
They get an intense, dedicated guy, dedicated to the game. I'm gonna follow whatever needs to be done, and I'm gonna try to intensify it. Like if my defensive coordinator, he needs guys that know how to spill. So I'm gonna pay attention to that, and I'm gonna teach my guys every way how to spill they need to do. I'm gonna teach them the ins and out of the movements, and then I'm also a guy who cares a lot about the players. Like you need a guy who you don't know how to talk to this one kid on the team. I'm probably that guy who will know how to try to take a different approach to him, or just in general. It's like I always try to be the guy that somebody needs. Like I'm very versatile. Like whatever needs to be done, I'm going to try to do what that is.
And amen. And for players that you're going to be coaching, what are they going to need to know from you? What do they need to know?
Oh, I'm a very motivational guy. And I'm gonna try to get the best out of you. I'm gonna pick and point where you need to work on. I'm gonna try to bring the best. I'm gonna try to make that guy the best possible person they can be in and outside of football. If I see that, just like with like each one of those defensive linemen you brought, each one of them brought something totally different to the game. Totally different. Chambo, very, very well-mannered, coachable guy. So I had to, how many times I started calling him Big Dog. And he started to believe it. He needed that. He needed that up tempo, because a lot of those guys didn't believe in him as much as they should have early on, because he was just coming in. But towards the end of the season, they were like, man, yeah, like Chambo. And I was one of those guys just constantly barking in his ear, like, yes, you're him. Like, be that. Nixon was one of those guys that he's all world talent. He has the same. He's pretty. He reminded me the second coming of Dante Fowler, this big 6'3" guy, 230, running a 4.6 in high school. He he was just an all-world talent. So with a guy like that, you just got to keep reminding them who they are, and never let them beat themselves down. And Tavon Will, that's honestly my favorite defensive lineman. I know you're not supposed to, but I had a special connection with Wheeler. Like Wheeler, Wheeler was that me and Wheeler were here. I could say something the most totally off the wall and he'd get it. It was an instance where a coach was just like, why are you telling him that? And he stuck up for me, and he was like, no, it's just how we talk. That's just how we get it done. So yeah, when it comes to me and players, I'm always trying to figure out how to get that player to be the best person they could be.
Amen, my man. Amen. You believe we've been talking for 1 hour and 8 minutes?
Oh man, you're my God, man. It just flows off, man.
It seems like we just started chatting, man. What a great time. Valentine's Day is tomorrow, so I figure you got somebody you want to give a shout out to. Go ahead.
Oh, shout out to my awesome, lovely wife, Jamie Granger. Yes, that's my baby. Uh, she met me when I was going through that hard knucklehead phase, and then she's been with me up to my growth phase, and she'll be here even longer. Like she's one of the points in my life that I don't know where I would be if I hadn't met her. She met me at a point in my life where I was basically homeless, and I needed some love, and she brought that in my life, and I don't think I can't really ever repay her for it, but I'm always try. So shout out to my baby.
Amen, brother. Every amazing guy usually has a lottery ticket, and that's usually his wife or girlfriend. Yeah, amen, man. Good stuff right there. I got to give a shout out to my wife. I'm going with her, my daughter Kathy, my granddaughters Aria and Sophia. We're going to a hibachi spot tomorrow in Tampa, so looking forward to that. The girls are going to get dressed up. I got little gift bags for them all. So yeah, man, I'm excited about that. And it's so cool, man, because they always look so pretty and well, I look like me, you know what I mean? So it's always a good time, you know. I always
And you
turn
always got
heads.
to
They're
be that
always
bodyguard role.
yeah, man,
That's
they're
that's
always
always
like
needed.
looking at me. They're always looking at me like I'm famous. I'm just like, yeah, I'm the bodyguard.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, super exciting stuff. I got to give a shout out to our sponsor, Rack Coach. What better product to get your guys jacked than the Rack Coach, man? Let them do all the work for you. Amazing information there. They document everything you got going on with your workouts. Yeah, the Championship Coaches podcast, man. Thank you guys so much for having us. Coach Granger, man, you have been phenomenal, my man. You are a rock star. I definitely want to get up with you with you soon. I'll have it to where
Definitely.
Tyreek comes through. Definitely going to have Austin. Anybody else watching this that wants to get up with any of us guys, man. It's once
Yeah.
the weather gets a little better, we'll hop back. We'll hop in this bad boy. Hop in this pool and have a little barbecue. I need to probably get up with Trayvon. Trayvon is a master chef now, so
Oh yeah,
maybe I can
Chef
get him.
Kelly. Yeah, TK
Yeah, man.
Mills.
Maybe I can get him to hook us up with some good grub. But yeah, man. Anything else you wanna shout out or anything? Anything else? Anything else
No,
you
just
got,
shout
Chris?
out, shout out to Lakewood. Just like I said, I've poured my heart out.
Yeah,
Anybody I
man.
said is totally honest. Big shout out to you, man. Thank you for having me up here. Big blessing. Shout out to Coach Moore helping me where I'm at right now. And once again, shout out to my lovely wife.
Without a doubt, man. Thank you, Totem Pole Sports. We're here to build champions for life. And yeah, until the next episode.
All right.